Here's the first cigarette in a few months. Smoking it as a celebration, so I really don't drink or do anything like that anymore. But also because of the amount of stress I had to go through today. Now, global warming and climate change. I feel like people misunderstood. Now, Mr. Frost, um, who I have a lot of respect for, actually said, "Wait, what do you mean by this?" Or I don't understand this because, and then he asked me about my playlists. The playlists I have on this channel are basically for me to, because my watch later, I filled that up. There's like over 2,000 videos on there that I'm probably never gonna watch. So I have a latest watch later, an A latest watch later, a later watch later, a sooner later watch later. And then I have things like bizarre music, um, good bad movies, uh, noir films, documentaries, some of them that I've seen before, some of them that I want to watch, stuff like that, right? And then videos that I want to reply to. Uh, but global warming, forget the guy's name. Maybe I have it. Yeah, I'll have it right here. He said that 99% of scientists are against global warming. Um, Desert File. Um, Wait, so you're against global warming? Every sane human being is against global warming. 99% of the world's scientists or experts on the subject are against it. No. Most people believe that global warming is happening. I believe many scientists believe global warming is happening. I would say that it's um, all scientists accept that global warming is happening. They're not against it. You mean against it, that they're against the world getting warmer? Why not be against asteroids? I mean that. So I can't believe that that's what he meant. No, the the climate is getting warmer. It just is it. How much is man contributing to that? Um, and can we? Is it too late to do anything about it? Um, and is mankind's effect on it negligible or not? Um, but when I talk about climate change, and that climate change, that term is ridiculous, and that I don't think that people should be belittling someone when they say, well, I've lived in Minnesota for the last 40 years and I haven't felt it get warmer, because I'm old enough to remember that in the late 80s or early 90s and all through the 90s, and then especially at the beginning of 2000s, they there was a catastrophic thinking of, you know I remember them saying, by 2004 there's going to be no ice caps and that most of the world would be desert. By 2013 the ice caps would be gone, or there would be no glaciers on top of any of the mountains in the lower 48. So this kind of catastrophic thinking, Michael Crichton was correct that it no, that the Earth is warming and it's doing it slowly. Now, climate change, to say that climate change is a problem is ridiculous, because, as I said in the last video, not only do we have seasonal climate change, we have decade climate change, we have century climate change, and we have 1,000-year climate change. And it goes in cycles, just like the ice ages. There's been like 50, there's probably more. I'm just as an example, 50 ice ages. Let's just say there's only 20. They came and went in cycles. Not to mention that for the vast majority of life on this earth, there were no ice caps. The ice caps only formed when South America disconnected from Antarctica. Before that, Antarctica was tropical. And let me just point out some things of how drastic the climate has changed without the influence of man in the last 10,000 years. All right, 10,000 years ago, we were modern humans. The saber-toothed tiger, the woolly mammoth, all these things were dead. All modern animals were around, except maybe some of the mammoths. The mastodon was gone. Maybe the mammoths were still alive in some remote parts of Alaska. But here's one thing: the Black Sea was a lake circa 5,600 BC. Now, that's after the beginning of civilization. It's after the agricultural revolution, right? That's not prehistory. The Sahara, 10,000 years ago, that's 8,000 BC, was a lush land with monsoons. So 8,500 BC, the Sahara Desert was lush with monsoons. Between 7,500 and 5,000 years ago, the monsoons began retreating. That's 5,000 BC to 3,000 BC, meaning Egyptian civilization as we know it already existed. And the pyramids were just about being built, and Stonehenge already existed. 1900 to 1600 years ago, that's AD 100 to AD 400. This is the 100 years after Christ, after the date that we set for the birth of Christ, and up until the fall of the Roman Empire. North Africa, that big desert area, Libya, Algeria, Tunisia, was the breadbasket of the ancient world. They could still farm all that area. It wasn't desert yet. North Africa was the breadbasket of the world. 400 years ago, AD 1600, the River Thames still froze over. A few years later, it would be the last time it would freeze over completely, so that the kings and noblemen couldn't ride their sleigh on it. If you were to say that the Thames River in England were to freeze over to such a degree that you could ride sleighs on it, you could walk on it, that's pretty shocking. But that happened. It's called the Little Ice Age, and that's not even the year without a winter. 200 years ago, or 201 years ago, 1816, we had a year without a winter when Mount Tambora exploded. There was snow in June. We are actually still in the middle of an ice age. You realize that? And we're at the time when it's waning, not waxing. We'd be in trouble if the ice was increasing instead of receding. So it should be getting warmer. The biggest impact on global temperatures are the cycles of the sun with sunspots. Two, the volcanic eruptions. We have no control over that. For man-made global warming, we contribute to it, but how much we don't know. It's probably negligible. I think we're adding to it, but there's places like China and India and Russia that don't give a damn about, and even the United States. Even if we cut down, I mean, look at how many people drive. Look at industry growing. What do you want to cure? Global made or man-assisted global warming. Not to say that if mankind disappeared right now, the Earth wouldn't still be warming. What do you want to do? Wipe out 80% of human beings? And yeah, if we do experience, great amount of warming, what would that give us? Well, that would give us a whole continent freed up to exploit for farmland and minerals. Canada, I mean, America being in the breadbasket of the world, that would double in size because Canada, it now, which has a very little arable land, the land that it can use that's arable is limited, and the cold weather limits its crops. So yeah, you would get double the output, right? And yeah, it would free up a lot more land. Oh, the oceans would rise, right? There's a big problem. You could always kind of flood the lowland areas of the arid places on Earth, but also rising sea level didn't hurt. I mean, that's not a problem for any country because look how much land is actually reclaimed from the sea. I mean, the Netherlands, most of that is reclaimed from the sea. So, yeah, low-lying. Um, Hell, most southern Louisiana was reclaimed by the sea. That's why it was so devastating when the levees busted. Uh, but things like hurricanes and natural events get blamed on global warming, which is ludicrous. But to say climate change, we've got to do something about climate change. Again, as I said in my other video, climate change is permanent and perpetual and will never stop. It's a silly word to apply. And when somebody says, well, how can there be global warming? Somebody like me who has been constantly told over their lifetime that, yeah, you'll see it'll be, 5 degrees difference or 10 degrees difference within, a decade. And say, oh, no, see, it's happening. Yeah, well, for the past 20 years, we still get negative 26-degree winters. Well, that means nothing. No, it means that, no, it hasn't affected here. So what are you talking about? So global warming is happening imperceptibly slow, um, and not drastic and not catastrophic. And also, as for climate change, this was all pre-industrial revolution, and that's pretty drastic. The fact that um, within the historical record, the Sahara Desert could be farmed, or a lot of it could. And just before the agricultural revolution, it was lush and had monsoons. And that 400 years ago, the River Thames froze over. And then even before, there was a period called the Little Ice Age that was even before that year without a winter or without a summer. All right, peace to you. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to be a fanatic about it, but try and talk honestly about it. But then I get this, and again, I asked, can somebody please address this without being snarky or actually give me a proper answer? And no, I didn't get it. And I'm not saying that Mr. Frost was disrespectful, but the other guy trying to say 99% of the um, scientists don't believe in global warming. Yes, they do. All right, peace to you.